Here you are. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sigmar and Son. We're live. And with me, we got Mark.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of And Sigmar I and Son. Failed. We're live.
Echo.
Echo. I tried to turn it on so I could see the chat, and it's just echoing that much longer. I should stop and restart, but we won't.
It's no big deal. Just mute it.
Anyway, Sigmar and Son, episode 14. Today's date, October 14th. And
Illuminati confirmed right there.
Yeah.
Episode 14.
Unfortunately, I had October 15th on the thing. So, I guess let's get started. The topic of the show today is going to be, we're going to try and go through the news and stuff and talk about some things we've been talking about for ideas we had for mini campaigns and or little campaigns, not huge campaigns. You can hear the squeaking in the background. I was going to save this till later, but you can see the latest member of our podcast here, Mr. Golden Boy himself.
The true Sigmar.
We tried to name him Sigmar, but Mom wouldn't let us get away with that.
And then we tried Cetra, also did not work.
Tried Cetra. But anyway, so that is the story there. So, if you hear me say stop or
don't show on those chords.
Back to the frame protect stuff. So if you say, oh my gosh, and I got to go, that's what's happening. Anybody who has a new puppy knows what's going on. So, how about we go through some news?
Sounds good.
So, gosh, it's been like a month since we've done a show, and we apologize about that. But this guy was taking time, and life in general. Mark was working a lot that we didn't really have Saturdays or Sundays off. And really, the big, I guess, Beastman Battle Tome came out. I didn't pick it up. It was one of those things I wanted to get, but I just haven't had a chance to get at it. And I know a lot of other people have.
Trying to see if you want to spend your money on that or Speed Freaks. Got to see if Speed Freaks is good. Right.
Only a limited amount of budget. I do know that the one thing I was excited about for that was the Battle Tome is that the Dragon Ogre Shoggoth is a wizard. And I have a unit of Dragon Ogres from the previous edition. It's only 3. But it looks like those guys are maybe useful now, whereas before they weren't.
Yeah, I don't know. I was watching Warhammer Weekly, and their guest is his name I think his name is Domus. He's like, yeah, my next army is going to be 24 Dragon Ogres, 3 Shoggoths, done. I was like, okay.
Pretty cool. They must be good because they're all sold out online. Speaking of also sold out online is the Chimera. And so I thought I heard that it lost a lot of its battle profile, but I guess that's not true. But I guess they did change it to where it's better than it was before.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they changed that.
I looked on the app and it hadn't looked like it had changed yet, so I don't know.
If anyone knows,
anyone knows,
tell us.
There probably nobody's out there. Let us know or make a thing in the comments. Next little item, and I guess there's so much the Beast Battle Tome. There was so much coverage within the community. Mark mentioned Warhammer Weekly last week. I think they had a 2-hour show about it. So go check that out and find out more about the Beastmen. I definitely thought about jumping on those because I have a whole order force, and I did have a lot of monsters of chaos type thing that they don't mesh well. So this week, some made-to-order champions came out for pre-order. So they were champions of chaos. There were 2 beastmen. I don't know how to pronounce them. Kazrak, the One Eye, and Morgur. And then Galrock is a dragon with 2 heads. and you can see Mr. Sigmar back there causing trouble. And so that dragon has 2 heads, but I don't know, that model's not very
old dragons suck.
Yeah, that model just, it's like long and skinny with some wings on it with 2 heads.
Well, back when they were metal, I mean, you couldn't do dragon like Celestian,
right,
whatever, the Storm Drake or whatever. It's just not possible.
Yeah, so I would suggest maybe skipping that one. There, Mark, do you know this guy? There's a Skaven Plague Lord Nurglich.
I've never heard of him. I think he might be what just changed into the priest, maybe.
Okay. And then there's, so I don't know about him, but the one that I always thought was cool and just a really nice looking model was Throg.
Throg is a good looking model.
The Troll King. And so he's a nice looking model, and I thought he was useful before. So that might be one that, you know, everybody has their own view, but that's a really cool looking model. And I've thought about ordering him.
Is Throg metal or is he fine cast?
I think he's fine cast.
Okay. Yeah, because he's a good looking model. We don't have any destruction stuff. Or no, I guess he's
chaos.
He's chaos?
Yeah, because the trolls are chaos.
Oh, sure, okay.
And they're destruction. So there's chaos trolls and there's destruction trolls. So like the river troll that you see in the guy with the puking and stuff, that's a destruction troll, but there are chaos trolls.
Previously used to be chaos, right? You could run that in the old edition.
Yeah, I think you can do both. Moving on. Warhammer Underworld's Night Vault. I won't try and not call it Shadespire. Yeah. So then they came out with a new version of the box game for that. It has 2 new units in it, 2 new warbands. A Stormcast Eternals warband called Stormsire's Cursebreakers, and a Nighthaunt warband, the Thorns of the Briar Queen.
Which look really sweet.
The Thorns do?
I think they look sweet, don't you?
Yeah.
The warband? The Stormcast warband doesn't look that cool, but the
Stormcast ones look like
Stormcast.
So, I guess the big thing there is that it adds a new type of card and die to the game, a magic card and die. They haven't really been able to get into Shadespire. I bought a lot of the stuff to begin with, but haven't really been able to keep up with it or play very much. So
only so much time. We rarely get to even play Age of Sigmar.
I saw a little joke thing on Twitter the other day, and it was like a pie chart, and it was you know, thinking about games, planning games, and then playing games, and like this little sliver was playing games. So,
and then you gotta add painting in there somewhere as well, right?
Well, yes, with planning or whatever, planning or painting for games. So, Warhammer Underworlds had they had a couple expansions. They got the Tzeentch Eyes of Nine guys that came out, and Zarbag's Gits.
I think the Tzeentch Eyes of Nine look really cool. Yeah. Model wise, I don't know. I think the rules are pretty meh.
I don't know how that, you mean as far as in
Age of Sigmar.
Right. Zarbag's guys got some squigs in there. So anybody who's crazy about squigs, they ought to just take those models and just, I don't know, maybe part of
that's what Vince was saying. Take those models, replicate them, just put them in a thing of 10 because people want just more variety and plastic squigs and stuff.
Like, oh, I could sell 2 squigs for the price of the expansion.
Yeah.
So, so then the old forces, Garrick's Reavers, and Steelheart's Champions, now are available as expansions. So if you buy the new box game,
you don't need to buy the old box game.
I guess moving forward, News, the hidden agenda rules. And I thought this was probably the biggest announcement or thing that's going to change maybe the way our listeners play or the way we would play, and especially when we talk about tournaments.
Yes.
So this is new matched play scoring and adds official secondary objective or hidden agenda rules. They provide a very nice PDF for you where you can, and they're actually printed like cards. So then you can print that out and cut cards out for them. And I was going to say there's rules like if you complete your hidden agenda, then you can roll on the triumph table in your next battle. That's going to have to be ignored for tournaments, I think. They're silly unless you're playing in a campaign, which, like we'll talk about later. I think they're perfect for that. But, it's like, hey, buddy, I'll play you a game. Oh, I won. So I get a triumph, in between my tournament rounds. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, I think this is like the best. Because, like, I hate looking at tournament packs, and every tournament pack is different based on who made it. I'm not saying I want every tournament to be the same, but I want every tournament to kind of be the same, to be honest. I want a standard.
Right.
I want a standard.
This does move toward that standard if everybody adopts it, right?
Yeah.
So basically, you've got a standard for objectives, secondaries, and a lot of these are a lot like, Vince and Tom Warhammer Weekly did the twists. With Nash, we play those.
Yeah, well, that was Dave, right?
Dave, yeah. So, if I can share my screen, if I haven't forgotten how.
The only thing I need from Warhammer after this, I want a site where it's like the tournament organizers can upload every single army list, and they basically need a tournament, like a tournament thing, saying like a tournament page saying like, okay, here's what won this tournament, here's what won this tournament, here's what won this tournament, instead of having to go to like 10 different sites and like scour through the Twitter first to try and find things.
Yeah, so it's here's what won this tournament, and here were the rules for the tournament, because the rules totally make difference. So yeah, I was just going to go through these. You got some hidden agendas, you got a secret mission, ancient heirlooms, and a lot of these you immediately complete this hidden agenda if an enemy is destroyed as a result of failing a battle shock for the Terrify. So again, a lot of these you can see here. I really like this, and I'm not sure how all the TOs will implement these. I was going to say that I think that Blood and Glory said they were going to use these, which I think is next weekend in England, though, right?
I think so, yeah.
They're going to give the players 3 points for completing a hidden agenda, and you have one per round that you can complete. And they're going to use that as a tiebreaker, so that's cool. I don't know, like if Adepticon would use them and use them as part of your score, because they had their secondaries as part of the score. NashCon had the twists as part of the score.
Well, they had secondary and tertiaries at Adepticon.
Right. So we'll see how this. You had the twists and that. So at NashCon you had the twists. At Adepticon you had a secondary and tertiary. So I think that they might have like some sort of secondary objective, and then you might have a hidden objective too, something like that. But it'll be interesting to see how they decide to throw the points for these versus whatever. And it does seem like it's a step toward getting things more
standardized,
which I think is what.
That's what any tournament system needs. You need a specific standard that you're held to, that everything, no matter, like a player can show up and no matter with their army and no matter what, even if they didn't look at the tournament pack, they know what's going on.
Right.
Every game of Magic is the same. Like you go to a game, you go to a Grand Prix, you know there's X rounds first day, X rounds second day. Each round is 50 minutes. You play 3 games, and when time runs out, you have 5 turns. Like, it's very
right. Now I think that
I mean, obviously they're different games, but
well, I mean, even in the old days when I played Magic, they had Type 1 and Type 2. Type 1 was basically you could use everything, and Type 2 you had
I mean that's still a thing, right? I mean
essentially
that's
your most recent sets, which is like your standard that you have now.
and that's still a thing.
Right. And I guess they did come out with, I guess, tournament rules for the Age of Sigmar trading card game too. So that'll be interesting too. So we speaking of tournaments, there were a couple in our area. There's one that was in Springfield, Illinois. FlatCon, I guess that's going on today. I was planning on heading up there, but with the new puppy, I had to puppy sit. So, and that was just a one day, and they had a Shadespire Grand Clash yesterday. So we'll get
just 3 rounds one day thing.
ClawCon was last weekend, and that was in St. Robert, Missouri, which was kind of down by the Air Force Base toward Lebanon. Anyway, I do know that was a 2-day event, and first place, I don't have a lot of details about that, but there were some fire slayers, and the report I got was there were no monsters, 1 big unit of KO, which is what, that real disgusting one that just is like the brick wall, a Night Incanter, and an Everblaze Comet, which...
Got an ally in that Night Incanter so you can get that Everblaze. Okay, you need to calm down, sir.
Yeah. I'll be curious what people are seeing out there, because to me, at least the stuff we've been seeing locally, every mixed order is pulling in that Night Incanter and taking that Everblaze Comet. And I think the strategy tends to be kind of use an anvil and put the Everblaze Comet behind the other force, and just they're stuck and take damage forever.
Yeah, that thing, it's almost like you wish that we knew how good it was earlier. Like it needs a point adjustment or something. Like that thing, like the Purple Sun is like laughable in like context to that thing. They're the same points and stuff.
Right. So you'll see that next year probably. Anyway, second place they had Sylvaneth, a Gnarl Root with Durthu and Alariel. So I don't know what else was there. And Seraphon was in third place with the Thunderquake host with 3 laser turtles. So I guess I was surprised by that Seraphon, I would have thought they would have had the
more summoning.
But, you know, this is
Engine of the Gods.
Engine of the Gods. This is a small tournament. Probably was like our.
I don't think it was that small. Was it? Wasn't it like?
I think it was 12 to 15 people.
See, I thought it was more than that.
So, yeah, just like the one that you and I went to. I mean, it's like 12 people, so it's really not NashCon, the one that was local in St. Louis. I can't remember the name.
Siege World.
Siege World, yeah. So, Armies on Parade was this weekend, and man, there was some pretty cool stuff that came out for Armies on Parade, and we picked out a couple of them that thought we'd share.
I was upset I was not able to find like a Great Barrier Reef-esque Idenith Deepkin one.
Right, so Mark actually picked one that was
40K.
Sort of 40K-ish.
I just think it's real, like, it's titled Industrial Mars. You can see, I don't know who, I think that was at Warhammer World. I think the placement and stuff is just really well done. Like, everything just seems well done about this. Like, it does seem very, like, industrial, like, Mars. Like, when I saw it, like, that's what I was thinking. And then I looked at the title. I was like, yeah, they captured that really well.
Right. Well, I actually cheated and picked out 2. One, I think we've seen this. I saw this actually at Adepticon. So
I've seen that before.
Maybe it's kind of cheating. I don't know, but it was pretty cool with all the flyers and
Yeah.
and stuff.
I think that's also on AOS Shorts. You can find that.
And then there was this one which had some really nice elves in it, and so it wasn't quite your coral reef, but
I really like the way they did the water, though.
yeah,
Like how it's moving and stuff looks very nice.
like this here, this kind of coral type stuff looks pretty in the plants. I guess that comes with the model, though, right?
No, not the plant stuff though. No, most of the stuff on that model doesn't come with it.
So I was like looking close. The eye in here is amazing.
I know. I wish I could paint that well.
So, and like this guy's eyes. So yeah, I was really impressed with this one. And like I said, you should definitely go out and search Google or Instagram or whatever as people are
Twitter.
As people are doing this, because there is some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm working on like. I don't think you talked about your 3D printer. But we're working on kind of like my idea for Adepticon coming up for like a, I guess, coral reef type thing for my Idenith.
Right.
So I was looking for inspiration.
So yeah, so going on, still more news. Anybody cares? No. There's a Realm War. I don't know much about this. This is a new digital game. I guess it launched, and I really haven't had a whole lot of chance.
I think it launched a while ago. I think it's very like what's that, Castle Wars or whatever? Clash of Clans. I think it's very Clash of Clans like. I think. Yeah, it's very Clash of Clans like, I think.
So yeah, so that you can see the picture here is kind of, it looks like a RTS type thing or a Dota type game or something. I don't know any much about it, to be honest, but it's going to be one I guess I'm going to have to load up because it does look pretty cool. So other things, covered everything pretty much except October, which kind of hasn't really been an October.
Oh, so, have any orc things come out yet?
No, actually, so they announced today that Speed Freaks is going to go on order next weekend.
Right, it comes out like the 27th, right? Like
it's on the 27th, right? So it'll make it in October.
Yeah.
I think this is a case of their marketing coming up with that phrase and just getting a little bit ahead of what their production schedule could be, or shipping schedule could be.
Right.
So I know that like everybody was expecting like 1st of October, start showing me the orcs.
I know you didn't get it.
Didn't get any orcs, so. But I guess there's rumors still of an orc battle tome. I don't know if that's 40K or not. I've heard people talking about an orc battle tome.
I assume that's 40K because I'm pretty sure they're the only, or not battle, or I assume Codex, right?
Yeah.
I think they're like one of the only two people that haven't gotten a Codex in 40K. I don't know much about 40K. So
yeah, I don't know.
If we're wrong on that, sorry.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. Maybe do you think they're going to come out with a new orc?
Like, no.
New orcish type faction for
Well, I mean, we know they're coming out with Grots. I mean, it's obviously been shown.
Maybe, yeah. I thought that might be part of October or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess
we'll see. I have no idea. All I know is that the 6 vehicles they made for Speed Freaks look sweet, and I think I'll be getting at least one of them.
Yeah, I'm going to share this here. I'm really looking forward to this game. If this game doesn't suck, I'm going to...
Even if it's medium.
I am presenting to everyone. Screen share. Okay, so yeah, you can see these. You know, if I knew how to paint, it'd be even more exciting.
Well, that's the thing, Dad. you can just throw some. Like, you don't have to. Like, these can look gritty. Like,
So I like this dragster.
that one's nice. There's one. I like the one with the.
Dragster. That's a Indy car.
Yeah, I know.
They need to learn.
That's the one I like.
The Snaz wagon.
Yeah, he look. There's a goblin on the front of it.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's like, oh, this is awful. And look at the orc hanging out. That's nice.
Yeah, with the bomb.
Yeah, that's sweet.
What's the and then the?
I've not seen that one yet. Oh my god.
The scrap jet. Yeah.
I have not seen that one. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I kept thinking, is there any way they would make these in Age of Sigmar? I don't know. Will they have these things? I guess they couldn't.
No. The dwarves in Age of Sigmar. Oh, they released what that was. It's like
it's down here too.
Yeah.
It's
that one looks cool too.
Got some squigs.
It's like a Jeep. Yeah, it like bombs. It like throws squig bombs or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's a squig bomber.
That's great.
So
yeah, these are great. These are all fantastic.
What?
Those are all just fantastic.
Okay.
They're very in the world of 40K though. I don't know if they like they're very like the other orc stuff has been very like industrial, and like that's industrial, but it's also like very. It's like going after this like aesthetic that I feel like is not very 40K, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like it's very orc, but it's not very 40K.
Right. But the orcs said they have a whole bunch of things. So in that the things I saw, it looked like they had templates for the driving and stuff. So it looked kind of Star Wars.
I hope it's nice.
Thing. Just hope the rules work well.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture for it right now. It has templates. Like it has like a
movement.
Arrow temp. Yeah, it has like little movement templates that are like short. That looks like you can add them together, and then there's like turn ones and stuff. And it looks like it's played on a pretty big area. It looks like it looks like a 4x6, honestly.
Yeah, actually,
maybe that's 4x4.
It was a game that came out. It was sold for like the Barnes and Noble type games stores.
It was sold by Osprey, right?
I don't know what one you're talking about. I'm talking about one that's a bunch of goblins racing game.
Oh no.
Gretchen, it's called. Came out a month or two ago. And it had cardboard things that folded up into a miniature of a driving vehicle.
I was talking about Gaslands.
Yeah. So you wonder if this will hurt Gaslands. Be interesting. And Car Wars might be coming out.
That'd be dope.
So hey, Age of Sigmar Champions. I've been messing with this on the app a lot. And I don't necessarily have a lot of cards that are great or decks that are great, so I just play casually. But
I need to give you my stuff because I've been messing with MTG Arena too much.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that is Haywo was on last week or last month was saying apparently Destruction is kind of broken. So they're going to test some changes to Destruction over the next, I guess, 4 weeks. They're going to have two things. They're going to remove the Watch Anner and and Cruising for a Bruising for the next 2 weeks from ranked play games. And the Watch Anner is X111 gain those many actions. And Cruising for a Bruising is a blessing where the third corner it does 0/0 and then 12 damage.
Yeah, and it rotates really easily is the thing.
Right. It rotates when you do damage. So you could probably like 3 units do damage. You can get it out. It can all hit in one turn, I think.
Yeah.
So they're going to be removed from ranked play for 14 days. And then after that, the next 2 weeks, they're looking at Gordrak, Fist of Gork, Savage, War Boss Recruiter, and Loudmouth Mega Boss, all receiving a cost to their cost and
health modifier.
And so I kind of like that idea. I'm not sure how I always thought that was a potential way to balance. So you can't put all those guys together.
Yeah, I mean, right now these are like the watch hammer enables a lot of like card advantage and stuff, but the
Savage Warboss.
a lot of card advantage and free actions in this action economy game, or like Savage Warboss also does, because if you play a dude, it gets to free rotate. Basically, all those cards just enable you to get free actions,
Right.
do free things, and free stuff is generally broken.
Right. So we'll see what happens, what they come up with. I kind of like the fact that they're addressing it, I guess, with the cost as opposed to changing rules, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a lot easier to change the cost than the entire rules too.
Right. So that's kind of our quick 30-minute version of the news or whatever's been going on in the world of Warhammer. So what have we been up to? We talked about the puppy. I bought a 3D printer and been pretty much running it 24 hours straight, which doesn't mean you get a lot done. So I'm just going to show a few pieces that I did.
Yeah, the piece you're doing right now takes 2 days to make.
I've done some. So anybody recognize what this is?
A butt plug. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, great. And so here's a different one in a different color, but yeah, it's a holder for the paint pots and especially the washes.
Yes.
So $8 pots, no more knocking them over. I know people have different solutions for that.
I'm sure we've all seen everyone's posts on Age of Sigmar fan page or whatever on Facebook of wasting their $8 thing.
Speaking of an $8 thing or a $20 thing.
30, I think, if it's the gold one.
The gold one. Anyway, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch measuring tool. So I'm going to try and learn software to code to make these things.
We could put Sigmar and Sun on the back.
Put our
hopefully we'll be able to like hand some of those out at Adepticon against the people we play.
This is Fat Dragon Games does these things for like D&D, where you build these tiles and you snap them together and you build like a whole dungeon. Those are pretty cool. That's just a sample one. So the other one, I did 2 buildings like this and did them at varying levels. And I'm going to do a show, I think, about 3D printing and stuff. So you can see this building. These took 2 days to do, and they are at
0.1, right?
0.1, right? So that was 0.1 means 100 microns or 10 layers per millimeter. These I don't know if you can see or not. It's tough to see.
They're 0.3, right?
0.2, I think. And so you can see there's a texture here.
You can feel it, yeah.
And then I did another. This was at 0.2. We did a crypt. This was our first test piece. You can see the lines up here probably. Maybe as I back up, but that's where I decided that 0.2 wasn't what I wanted to do. I did one building at 0.05 or 20 layers per millimeter, but it didn't seem like it took a whole lot longer, and I'm not sure that really did much for us. So as Mark alluded to earlier, we're messing around with some other stuff for that, trying to find a thing that might show this as a back piece. Dropped a card. So
I've got a picture on Facebook if you want me to pull that up instead.
Well, yeah, pull that up maybe. Anyway, we were doing some coral. You can see some of the pieces there. It's okay, Mark. I think we're okay with this.
Oh, okay, that looks pretty good.
until you talked. So anyway, so we were doing coral pieces for Mark's bases. Found some models for that, and we're gonna try and there's like get a whole bunch of different types of coral for the Ideneth. I'm printing out something now.
It's a wizard's tower.
Yeah, I will go ahead and share my screen here. It is this bad boy.
I wonder what the ability to like print like bits is, you know?
Well, if you're a good modeler, see, basically these are models that people have made already. You have available to you to use for your own personal use.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's the guy, and he takes 2 days to print at 0.1. So, we'll probably
It's chugging away in the kitchen.
Chugging away, yeah, in the kitchen because Om's out of town for a little bit, and so I put it in. So, been messing a lot with that. I built some more Nighthaunt. I built some 8, I guess, Mirrormore and Banshees. I got another 4 to put together real fast. I built a unit of 20 Grave Wraith Stalkers, or 10 Grave Wraith Stalkers, and then a 4 or whatever came with the starter set, and a Chain Rasp Horde. So I might have to try and figure out how to modify some of those quote-unquote Skaven-looking guys to be Grave Wraith Stalkers, to fill out 2 of them to make them look like Stalkers that are to fill that unit in, because I don't really feel like buying a set of 10 to get 2 of them. Mark, what have you been doing?
I built more eels. I'm working on building more eels right now. I've got 9 Ishleyan built. They're kind of like halfway painted, and then I've got 9 more to build for the Morsar Guard, and I'm gonna convert 3 of the 9 of the Ishleyan into Morsar, so I'll have 6 Ishleyan and 12 Morsar Guard. That's the plan, at least. But that's really all I've been doing. I've been finishing up school and stuff, and I got a job.
I was gonna say, you got a big boy job.
Put my big boy pants on.
Yeah, so you got hired. You still in school, but got hired, so that'll be coming out. So,
Lovely, Mike.
So, yeah, okay. So, I guess that gets us to the topic of the week, which I was calling mini campaigns or small campaigns. So I used to play a lot of BattleTech, and we published an article called "Not 200 Tons Again," and so basically, everybody in BattleTech say, well, build mechs or bring mechs worth 200 tons. So in this case, it's like not 2,000 points again. So, a lot of people, it's like, oh, how do I do Mark and I, let me start over. I think a lot of people have 1, maybe 2 armies, and maybe 1 person or 2 people to play with. So I think the games get very repetitive if you play each other a lot, or boring.
Especially if you just play, let's shove everything in the middle. That kind of all works out the same. Just the dice is different.
All scenarios is. I know. I mean, I know the scenarios, the objectives change up things, but it's still basically always the same units doing the same things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we were thinking like there's a way to do take that sameness and make little mini campaign to where you have a reason to fight, maybe you have a reason to retreat, things like that. And so I kind of thought we'd just talk about, and we didn't really come up with like strict rules or anything we were going to publish or anything or whatever. We just thought we'd talk about some of the ideas that we had.
Bounce some ideas off each other, maybe give you guys some ideas.
Yeah, and hoping that other people might chip in, but things on there. So the first thing I was going to say is you could create a historical campaign. And an example of that is so you could recreate battles from the books. And so this is really moving into narrative. But an example might be, I know somebody did the End Times books that they made. They took the End Times storyline and made a battle tome for Age of Sigmar, where they have, I'll try and link it in the bottom after this show.
Well, I know in the original, like rules, right? There's like a thing where it's like, this is like Nagash versus Archaon fight. And it gives you the units to do that.
Right. I was going to say, or there was a series of battles recently, like the whole storyline recently with the Soul War, where everybody tried to was the battles trying to get to Nagash's pyramid to stop him. So you could kind of relate that and try and recreate that. And so that's kind of one idea. And in that, maybe you could do some other things. Another idea we had was like sort of three battles going on simultaneously. You sort of have a left, a right, and a center. And you would basically have so many units that you would assign to that, to each one. So you'd build your force, you'd assign units to it, and then maybe even after seeing what is where, you were allowed to shift some of your units from one to the other. But when you shift them, then they come in as reinforcements. And so it's like, well, I have overwhelming forces here. I'm going to pull some stuff back, or maybe I'm definitely going to lose here. So I'm going to retreat out of here. And then these guys are going to come into this other battle as reinforcements. So you kind of lay out all three forces. You split your forces into three things. You lay them out, and then you kind of go and say this. Each person compares what they have, and then they could decide what they're retreating where. And you could have like whether they actually come in. You know, you can decide based on their speed, maybe how fast they get there. You know,
like on which turn
they come in.
Right.
So like a quote unquote 4-speed unit's going to get there maybe on turn 4 or later. You start rolling. Maybe it doesn't even get there. Faster speed unit starts rolling on turn 2.
Right. That'd be cool.
And so that was kind of one idea that we had. Another idea basically was something I'm calling a massive force. And this was really kind of like, I think the Soul War kind of reminded that. But basically you're going to have successive battles. So you have like one overwhelming force. And I'm just thinking you might have like a 3,000 points or whatever, 2,000 points against a 500-point army, and then a 500-point army, and then a 1,000-point army. So you have 3 separate battles or something like that. And basically the person in the first 2 battles, they're going to lose, but their objective is to slow the other guy down or take out as much of their units as they can. And then maybe depending on how much they slow them down, the third battle determines how much of the units that you get. So any thoughts on that, Mark?
I'm just trying to think like you could do like, because you could do like 4,000 points of like, if you have a big enough army, let's say, and then you just do like, so you have like 1,000 points, they rush in, they do as much damage as they can. They'll get wiped out relatively quick, and you'd probably have it to where the cheaper army would always like pick if they go first or second, like it would be no question. You know what I mean?
That's like they're attacking from ambush or something.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just gonna have like, if you roll off and the big team gets, like the big force gets what they want, they're just gonna utterly murder the small force. And maybe don't have a shooty force or something as the big force, because
Yeah, certainly.
if there is like a time to get there, it's gonna be awful for that small. They're just gonna get shot off the board immediately.
Right. And so like this is all, just ideas.
We're just bouncing ideas.
So if somebody had like a dwarf force, that'd be really good for like the defensive force, right? So you're like running through a gun line, or
you could say like they're garrisoning.
Right. I had a little bit of that later. A little later, I had an idea for that too.
Right. Yeah.
So, but anyway, that would be one way to do some things different instead of just the same units against each other all the time. One other thing we were talking about was Mighty Empires. So this was a set that Games Workshop came out with that had these tiles, hexes that represented different terrain, and you might need a third person to help moderate this. But if you're trying to do some fog of war, but you can have battles. You have battles only if the forces meet, and then depending on the terrain. And you don't need Mighty Empires to do this. You can just, Mark actually pulled up something he created.
I created this in like 20 minutes before the show, just as like an example of how easy it is. If you want to pull it up.
I'm trying. Is it going to let it redraw?
No, it's lovely. I was just, yeah. So I just made this in like 10 minutes. It's on it's called Hexographer on online. Just search Hexographer. This is the free version. And so basically what I've got going on is I've got going like, is it set on you? Because otherwise I'm just going to be talking over.
Let me.
I don't think it is.
Okay, it is set on me now.
Okay, cool. So basically what I've got going on is like in the bottom right-hand corner, you see that's coral reef and a beach. So like I'm playing Idenith, I would start there. Say someone had a I don't know, their bases were ice or whatever, they would start up in the top left-hand corner. And my idea is you start out with you kind of start out with like 500 points, and as you go, each tile is assigned randomly like a point value, and as you gain territory and stuff, you get to recruit more people to your army. And then when you battle, you lose as many points as you do. So there's like an option to retreat if it's going poorly, but you're gonna lose that area to the person. If I'm fighting, if I'm Idenith Deepkin and I'm fighting in the coral reef area, I'll get a bonus to I'll be fighting better, so maybe I'll get +1 speed or something. So just like cool little narrative ways to add, make the hexes actually matter instead of oh, this is where we meet, we're just gonna play a game here. So right. I've got fungal area up in the top right. Maybe the new fungus squid right. guys do better up there. I've got evergreen in the middle. Maybe Sylvaneth does better there. Maybe they get to summon an extra tree or something. I don't know, but right. Definitely something like that. And I've got a dead forest next to the forest as well. Maybe Sylvaneth doesn't do well there.
Yeah.
So just cool ways to add in
maybe the bravery of people other than undead is lower there.
Yeah, exactly. And these are just all little ideas, but it's a way to definitely make your play experience more fun with just a little addition of rules and stuff and how it is. So that's kind of my big thing.
And going into this, I think that basically you do have to kind of.
I think it works best as a 4-player thing, though. I will say that.
Right. Now, in this, I think if you're doing something like this, you'd want much smaller, or if units can only move 1 hex a turn, maybe they can move 2. I don't know. But I think or you have everybody can see where you can see units, or maybe even have false units. It's like I have 3 forces, but really only one of them is real. So the other guy doesn't know which one is really the real force.
Well, yeah. What I was saying is you probably have the starting. You probably start with X amount of tiles in the beginning, so it kind of decreases the size of it, if that makes sense.
Right. And so you could even do something where each player would have access to tiles and they build the world themselves.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool. So what I was going to say is that when we talk about these like battles, like Mark was saying, you'd have 500 points of guys or whatever. You'd have to be forgiving on the battle line and stuff, I would think. Like the rules about like having to have battle lines. It's going to be more.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, no.
You're going to have to be putting your models out there.
Right. Well, my idea, yeah. So my idea, like, I've got this kind of just running in my head. I guess, like, so you start with 500 points, you start recruiting. You can split up your army, so you can send 500 points to this tile, 500 points to this tile, 500 points to this tile. If you have 1,500 points altogether, and if that 500 points meets and your opponent has all 1,500 points in one tile, you know, they're not gaining as much territory as you, but if they do meet you, you're probably going to get slaughtered. So, like,
right,
you got to figure out how people are doing that.
Right. And then tiles that you own, every turn you own them, you get so much economy. So that's kind of
so it's like an economy thing. Yeah.
Economy thing.
Like based on like StarCraft or something. I don't know. I always think that's like really cool.
So I've switched off of that, and I'm going to stop screen sharing. So the other one, I mean, hey, if another game has done it, steal it. And so, as you know, I was like a big Starfleet Battles player. So the Starfleet Battles had a mini campaign called Economy of Force. And I kind of changed the rules up here. But the idea is that battles take place in, I trimmed it down to where it'd be 5 areas. You would have player one's base, player one's border, a neutral territory, player two's border, and player two's base. And players would then choose so many points of forces. And I was like saying like 4,000 points of forces. And you split them into 5 forces. And each force must have a unit, 1 leader and 1 battle line or something like that. And then you assign those units to those 5 battles. Okay, so it's kind of like our 3 thing, I guess I was saying.
Hey, can we pause for a second? I think I'm being presented to everyone right now.
Okay.
I don't know how that happened.
Talk now.
Hello. I don't know. All I see. Okay, yeah, I think we're good now.
Hello? Yes.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right. So back to that. So players are choosing 5 forces basically of, and I was saying like 4,000 points over those 5 forces. Players in your home area, you would get to pick and lay out the terrain in their own area. So they could basically pick from, you know, I could choose how I want the terrain laid out. And maybe especially in your base or whatever, if you were rolling for Mystic, or you would know what it is, maybe, or you would roll for it, but you would know what it is, and maybe your opponent doesn't know until he enters the area, something like that. And then I was saying that like your quote-unquote base or your home territory, in addition to any points you would have there, would have a garrison of some unit, a small unit or whatever, with like a watchtower. And so then in this case, victory is the player who wins the most of the 5 battles. And alternatively, you can do those 5 battles, and if nobody destroys the other person's base, then you basically replenish units, get more points to spend on models, and do it again. And maybe you'd have to say that you couldn't attack. In that case, if you were going to say whoever kills the opponent's base first wins, you'd probably have to say whoever, you'd have to win the border one before you're able to attack their base next turn.
That'd be cool.
Right, because otherwise it's like, oh, I spend all, whoever attacks, whoever gets the opponent's base first wins, I'll just send everything there.
And you could even do that in the Mighty Empires campaign as well, with the hex stuff too.
Right. So this is a way of basically just sort of, I mean, this is really just 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things deep. 5.
Right.
and just imagining that borderline, that border area. So that was something that they had. I think the Mighty Empire-ish type campaign is probably the most complex and probably the most fun. But so hey, I wanted to talk a little more about some other ideas that I had when using your campaign. So I know that some people are crazy and have thousands of points of models, dollars of models, more than dollars of models. But basically, you could basically say that models are unique. So like, if I have one vampire lord on zombie dragon, that guy's unique. He can't be, when we have the 3 battles or whatever, I can't have him in 3 battles. I can only have him in 1. Even if they were the, I guess what I'm saying is you can't build a force. You have to build forces based on your model collection. And maybe you make an exception that like the Battleline you could reuse. So if you want to you could always reuse Battleline units, maybe, but make your unique models for the other stuff. And that might make you dig deeper into your collection versus and play units that are not optimized points wise.
Yeah, definitely.
That are fun. Maybe break some dust off of some of those units for, like I don't know, like if I was talking Tomb Kings, it might be Tomb Guard or something, or the snakes with not the good snakes.
Yeah.
So or Chaos.
You might have to bring a Chaos Gargant.
Yeah, or a Gargant, or a what's the other one? The
Cockatrice. I got that downstairs.
Yeah, you have to bring a Cockatrice or something, or maybe the Forsaken or something.
Oh, that's pretty not good either.
Forsaken, yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you had old models, it might, but you'd have a reason to use them. So, anyway, that was kind of an idea, and I thought that if I would be doing one, I think that's what I'd want to try and do. I don't have a ton of points of models, but I think it would make it more interesting to make you go a little deeper. We talked about like restoring lost models, especially in your Mighty Empire campaign. So there's a couple options you can do for there. Basically, I think you would say that units that are wiped out are gone, right? Just gone. You can have partial units remain. That would require some bookkeeping.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, you'd have to know that this unit was a unit of 20 guys and there were 14 left. So next battle with those guys, you'd field a unit of 14.
And it brings a whole like tactic of like, is retreating a better option than fighting?
So I also was saying you can have refill or regrow some units, and I don't know how Undead and whatever would work with this. You can have your units basically potentially so many of them or whatever, they could regrow, they could refill up to their normal, or up, you could refill up to half the starting size of the unit could be added. So like if you had a unit of 30 something and it got down to 10, I don't know, I said up to half, but maybe 10 more, maybe a third could be added or a quarter could be added. So you could add 5 or 10 models to it. Or if you fill up more than that, there could be some consequences. And then kind of going along with that, I was thinking that experience units that survive, you could do some sort of experience system. And I know some people have done some really complicated stuff, but this would be like just, if a unit survives, you could roll on a chart, or you could pick one of your surviving units every battle to get an upgrade. And you could do things like, reroll ones on saves, reroll ones on hits, add 1 to movement, +1 to hit, +1 to save. things like that. Add one to their bravery.
And this is only if you don't refill that unit. Like, if the unit is experienced, right. Yeah, like, because if you're putting, like, these are like veteran units, so I guess like your kind of idea we were talking yesterday was like you can refill the unit and they will be just like maybe if you refill them they get worse because they're newbies or something. But if you don't refill them and you keep them how they are, say you have a unit of 20 and now it's a unit of 10, those 10 are veterans and they have a better save or hit or whatever.
So yeah, we were talking about having, like, if you refilled the unit in some manner, you could potentially lose them. You know, if you had to add 2 guys, it's, you know, you'd have maybe a 20% chance of losing the benefits. But if you filled in 10 guys, you for sure we're going to lose the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a kind of an idea. And I know a lot of other people have written stuff about experience in campaigns and stuff. So, but yeah, so that's something to think about. Do you want to kind of have your guys get experience, get veteran units, uber veteran units? Would you have it like every unit survived, or you pick one, or
probably just pick one, yeah.
Or you roll for one or something?
Pick or roll, yeah.
You're gonna keep picking the same unit that keep getting better and better and better.
Well, then people are gonna go after that unit.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's like a thing in like Blood Bowl. Like you can keep like upgrading your player, and then people are gonna want to kill that player.
Right.
Like I am gonna kick that player while he's down.
Yeah. So I guess the other final thing, and we're right around an hour, so that's probably good, is that I was talking about I made a note to talk about loot. And by that I mean, like, so basically you're when you build your unit and they have artifacts, if the guy that has the artifact is killed and you lose the battle, the opponent could potentially get that artifact himself. They could pick up items from destroyed units, and then they could start using them next battle.
Or what about
you could also, in your Mighty Empires thing, you could have artifact discovery too.
Yeah. This is like a random thing I just thought about. Like, what if a unit kills another unit? Can, like, say they have swords, but the other unit has spears. Could they pick up their spears and then like switch their like attack profile with them or something?
I mean, if you're playing casually, sure. I mean,
well, I feel like this is all like a lot of this is casual anyway.
Casually, but I mean, are you gonna say like you got to remodel them or something?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's just these guys now have spears because I picked up a unit. I picked up a bunch of spears and I want to start using them. I would say probably, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Maybe it would. I don't know. That they'd be able to use those.
My brain is just random ideas.
Right. So anyway, those are the ideas that we had about miniature campaigns, small campaigns, things to do so you are not playing the same game all the time. Try and come up with ways that you can play the game where you have a reason to fight, not have it be the same, and still have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of a departure for people that play the tournament. And so I don't know. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think. If you've ever played in a campaign, what they've done. If there's anything that you think that would be good that people should take a look at doing.
Or if you've seen, I know people do like write-ups of campaigns all the time. If like you have found a good one, link it in the comments for us to look at.
Definitely, yeah, because I'd be interested in doing that as well. Like I said, 90% think about Warhammer, 10%. So, so I guess that's it for now. Mark, do you have anything else you need to add?
Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.
I really should say that at the beginning.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in sponsoring us, but we will we'll be back, and hopefully it will not be another 4 weeks before we're back.
Yes.
Speed Freaks comes out in 2 weeks. Hopefully we'll be able to
talk about
that because I know it's not Age of Sigmar, but it does look pretty cool.
You know what? That's okay. Every Age of Sigmar podcast and their mother talks about Kill Team. So.
Oh yeah, when are they going to come out with Kill Team for
Sigmar Kill Team?
Sigmar Kill Team, smaller force. Because that's the one problem I have is that it just seems like I know they're Age of Sigmar, the Shadespire campaign, not the Underworlds, the where you reuse single models. That just didn't work.
Oh, skirmish.
Skirmish, yeah. So I mean, if they actually came out with a real skirmish game for AOS, I'd really be happy.
Yeah, it worked, but it was like it still took a while.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So that's it for now. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.
Peace out.